So another week and another race vlog, and this time it's the Vale of York 10-mile road race. So this race hadn't originally formed part of my plans, but Dawn wanted to do a 10-mile road race in preparation for her forthcoming England Masters half marathon, so I decided it would be a good idea to enter too. Now my original plan was to run with her and film her race, because I was going to do a parkrun the day before, my first as a vet 55. Unfortunately we didn't make it all the way to parkrun. Our car packed in and totally died. We had to get a tow back, so Saturday proved to be a very stressful day. So it's going to be interesting to see how we got on the day after at the Vale of York 10-mile road race. So as you can see, good warm-up, lots of dynamic and active activations going on. And something new in my race preparations was the first time trying the ketone IQ. I'll let you know how it went later. So a very popular race this. I think there were just over 500 in the 10-mile race, and there were further people in the 5-mile race which set off at the same time. So we set off, as you can see, along an old airfield. The first mile is an out and back. So this race is organised by Even Splits, the same company who set up the 5k that we did a few weeks ago over in York, where Dawn had that amazing sprint finish. So yeah, off we set along a runway. Now it's quite windy today, which is a factor in the race. Bit of a cross breeze at times, and obviously on the airfield is the maximum amount of exposure. So you run up for half a mile, then round a cone, and as we go around we'll get some footage of Dawn coming back the other way. So my goal in this race is to see if I can run sub 7-minute miling. That will be a strong, comfortable and controlled pace for me. According to VDOT, based on... oh, there's Dawn going past. There we go. So according to VDOT, based on my 10k time last week of 40:28, in theory I'm capable of a 67:07 10-miler. But that would assume perfect conditions like it was last week on possibly the flattest and fastest course there is in the UK, which this isn't. It's gently undulating, it's a good fair course, you can run a fast time on it. But as I am in training mainly for a 10k road race, I decided to use this one as a fantastic training stimulus, hopefully, for that 10k. So say we're aiming to keep each mile just under 7-minute miling. So we're running back down the airfield now before we take a right and leave the airfield, which is currently the home of a hang gliding club, I think. So kit today, I went for the Analyse Pro 4s. I've loved that shoe since I've got them, and I thought they'd be just the job for a 10-mile road race. I'm wearing my club vest, which is a saw vest, so nice and light and loose. And you keep seeing my Coros Hove interview, and I'd actually programmed it correctly today, set it up correctly. I'd set this up to be a session of 10 times 1 mile with 0 recovery, and then a little bit extra at the end just to account for the course being slightly out of kilter with the measurement of the Coros, so I could see exactly how fast I was running within each mile. So it's a case of, as that book of Ryan Hall says, I've run the mile you're in. You'll notice I'm putting the effort pace up as well as the actual pace for interest, but they're all clocking in at under 7-minute miling, which is good. That's what we wanted. So yeah, mile 2 ticked off, just under 7-minute miling. As you can see, this is a rural course on roads that were closed to traffic for the day, so well done Even Splits for putting that into place. Just make sure we go the right way at the 5 and 10 mile race split. Now we can see that mile 3 came in at 6:50, 6:44 effort pace. There's not a great discrepancy between the actual pace and the effort pace because, as I said, this course is gently undulating. Just a few little climbs which actually can help break up the monotony of doing the same running stride pattern mile after mile. So 3 miles into a 10-mile race, you're not quite anywhere near halfway. Your legs are starting to get a little bit tired, just not taking a drink. Now, they did have 2 drink stations out on the course, but not for me. Trainers are going well, but as I say, you start to build up a little bit of fatigue and perhaps the doubts start to come in. So mile 4 ticked off again, a sub 7-minute mile. We're nearly at halfway and starting to get a little bit more confident. Now we can execute all of this 10-mile race in under 7-minute miling. From memory, just a little bit of a climb here around the 5-mile point. As I say, mostly rural. You go through a couple of villages en route, but a lovely quiet course, closed roads on this Sunday morning in Yorkshire. Yes, I was right to remember mile 5 did have a bit of a climb because you got a 21-second discrepancy there between the pace I ran and what Coros reckons the effort pace to be based on the gradients. So yeah, running along nicely. The train is feeling nice and smooth and responsive and comfy, as I thought they would. We'll start to get a bit strung out in the second half of the race. You can see I can still see runners in front of me There's still people to sort of try and chase down. I'm running evenly, take on a gel at between 5 and 6 miles there, SISB to fuel gel. I don't actually need it to get to the end, but it does aid recovery. Mostly good quality tarmac on these roads. There's the odd section where obviously tractors are being down and there's a bit of mud en route. So we're coming up to mile 6, which we clock at 6:47, also 6:47 effort pace. An absolutely glorious morning for running, as you can see, clear blue Yorkshire skies. Although it was quite breezy in places, this part of the course, as you can see, hedges on both sides of the route, and you really got quite warm. I'm glad I opted for the club vest and not a t-shirt underneath, just finishing off my gel, don't gulp it all down at once, and start to see runners in front where I can try and latch onto them and help them reel me on. And mile 7, 6:54, 6:49 effort, well into the flow now, as they say, just under a park run to go. I think we're going to hit our target of under 7-minute miling for this race. Just about to turn into the windiest part of this whole route. Get my number there, blowing in the wind as the song says, but feeling strong and thinking I can actually push on, wind it up a little bit in these final few miles. Just waiting to see what mile 8 clocks in at. So 6:57, 6:42 effort. I do remember a few climbs in that particular mile too. So it's mile 5 and mile 8 if you ever do this course, that you need to leave something in reserve for those slight drags uphill. So this is the fastest I've run over such an extended distance in well over a year. Legs are holding up well, slight strain in the hamstring. I wouldn't want to be going much faster than this, but yeah, hanging on. Another runner in front, I think from Roundhay, just to latch onto and catch. Starting to wind up the effort levels a bit in these final 2 miles. Mile 9 coming in 6:42, 6:42 effort, so we've definitely upped the pace, and then we've got a long straight before we turn into the hang gliding club, the former RAF base, and finish this race. Really pleased with the effort levels. You can see around 64% spent in threshold zone, meaning a fantastic workout for me and some training benefit. Cheers. Nice encouragement from clubmate Julia there, but oh dear, who was this other clubmate of mine skulking behind the building? I fear a DNF. Fortunately, only 150 yards or so for me until the finish. As a process of disappointment, that's going to be coming to dawn. Not a great weekend, on top of the car breaking yesterday. And mile 10, the fastest of the lot. So very pleased in the end with a chip time of 68:58. That's the fastest I've run over the 10-mile distance in over 6 years. I had got down to running as slow as 78 minutes at one point. 5th in my new age category, so a very pleasing morning out for me. Tell you what though, it does still look strange seeing male 55 next to my name. Yeah, somewhere inside it's still 2004 and I'm running 55-56 minutes at this race distance. So anyway, worried about Dawn, didn't even get me medal or my chocolate bar. Straight back to the car to find out what happened to her. So the day after, and I've got to say I'm super pleased with that. 3 big positives to take from that race. Number 1, sub 7-minute mile pace. Felt comfortable and controlled all the way around. And as you saw, I was able to up it for the final 2 miles. So actually I've reached 6:52 minute miling, got into my watch. Now, going by the 10k I did last week at Pulford, I could, on a flat race in perfect conditions, go low 640s for 10 miles, in theory. But that wasn't the Pulford magic triangle. It's a little bit undulating, nothing too bad. But as you saw, it was quite breezy in places. So really chuffed with the pace and how comfortable it felt over that distance for me. Secondly, my debut with Ketone IQ. Yeah, worked a treat. Felt really engaged and mentally present. As I said at the beginning of the video, Saturday had been a really stressful day and I half expected Sunday's race to feel really sluggish and dead feeling. But yes, felt really alert and engaged with what was going on around me. Now I do tend to have the ability in running to switch off and focus on the task in hand. but I like to think the ketone helped, and we'll give it a roll for the next couple of races. And finally the Pro 4s worked like an absolute dream. Had a feeling they'd be great over 10 miles to half marathon, and so it proved. Comfortable, light, responsive, and now the day after, yeah, my legs are heavy, but they're not sore or excessively fatigued. So very encouraging signs, great workout for me. Next stop, Yeovil 5k 9th of April, and the all-important Salford 10k on the 18th of April.
As for me, didn't quite go to plan. On the warm-up I didn't feel great. I had a few stomach issues, won't go into detail, and sciatic nerve issues, possibly linked to the previous day with the stress of the car and everything else that was going on that day. So I said to John during the warm-up I'd give it a mile, because the mile goes out along the runway and finishes back at the start, and see how I felt. I did that, didn't feel great, so I decided to call it a day. It was only a beer race. Got plenty of other races coming up, so I'm not disappointed, and you know, no injury or anything, just a few niggles in my sciatic nerve, which is normal for me in all honesty. So yeah, back to training for Yeovil 5k. In fact, I did a treadmill run later in the day. I managed to run 5 miles, with 4 of those miles around 7:30, so no issues really. So as you know, on a treadmill you can stop whenever you want, so if there was an issue I could have just pressed the button, whereas going on a 10-mile loop was just risking it a little bit in all honesty, and I didn't want to nurse myself around 10 miles. Just wasn't meant to be on that morning.
So there we go, another race ticked off, a positive for me, not so much for Dawn. If you want to follow our future progress, then please subscribe to the channel. So until next time, keep on keeping on.
Keep on keeping on.